There's a pain you've carried for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to live without it. A pain that wakes you at 3 in the morning, that pops up in the middle of a laugh, that turns your favorite song into a weapon, a sharp, cutting blade. This pain, this ache, it's something you know better than anyone, better than your best friend, better than your family. It's become a part of you, a shadow you can't seem to shake. Eckhart Tolle discovered something profound about this pain, something no one ever told you. It's not real, or rather, it is real, but it's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. And when you understand that vital distinction, everything changes. Everything. Imagine a thorn stuck deep in your foot. You feel the pain. You try to pull it out, but it's embedded too deep. So you do something strange. You push it further in. Every time you think about it, you push it in a little more. And why? Because a controlled, measured pain that is less frightening than the surprise of the sharp, unexpected stab. Your emotional pain works the same way. You keep it alive because you're terrified of what might happen if you let go. But Eckhart discovered the secret to removing any emotional thorn without additional pain. In fact, with instant relief. And this secret goes against everything you've learned about emotional healing. Have you ever noticed some people seem to carry an invisible sadness in their eyes, as if behind every smile, there's a shadow that never leaves, as if they're always carrying a weight you can't see? Do you recognize that look? Have you seen it in the mirror when no one else is looking? That shadow has a name. Eckhart calls it the pain body, and everyone has one. Some are small, like an old injury that only aches when the weather changes. Others are gigantic, like an open wound that never heals. But here's what no one ever told you. This pain body doesn't want to be healed. It wants to be fed, and you've been feeding it, unknowingly, for years. Every time you relive a grievance, every time you tell the story of what someone did to you, every time you identify with your suffering, you are feeding an emotional entity that lives inside you, like feeding a wild animal that showed up at your doorstep. At first, it's small, and you can control it. You might even feel sorry for it. You give it food, you offer it shelter, but the more you feed it, the bigger it gets, stronger, hungrier, more aggressive, until one day you realize a terrifying truth. You're not controlling the pain. The pain is controlling you. It decides when you'll be sad. It chooses which memories will surface. It dictates how you react to situations. You've become a prisoner in your own emotional house. Eckhart realized this at 29, on a night that nearly ended his life. He was a brilliant student at Cambridge, a PhD in literature, a promising future ahead, but internally, he lived in a hell no one could see, chronic anxiety that made him sweat for no reason, a depression so deep he spent days unable to get out of bed, and a critical inner voice that never, ever stopped talking. You're a failure. You're worthless. No one really loves you. You'll never succeed. A constant stream of self-destruction that made each day feel like torture. On that particular night, the pain had become unbearable. He was in such a deep depression, he considered suicide as the only way out. Lying in bed in his small London apartment, he repeated like a desperate mantra, "I can't stand living with myself anymore." And then, something strange happened. A question arose out of nowhere, as if from another place. Who is this I that can't stand living with myself? The question was simple, but it created a crack in his reality. If he was him, who was this myself he couldn't stand? For a moment, his mind went completely blank, and in that silence, Eckhart realized there were two, the self that suffered and the self that observed the suffering, the voice in his head and the one who was listening to the voice, the prisoner and the witness of the prison. In that instant, he felt as if he were being sucked into a deep void, but not a terrifying void, a void filled with peace, with presence, with freedom. He fainted, and when he woke up the next morning, everything had changed. The depression had completely disappeared. The anxiety had evaporated. The critical voice was still there, but it was as if someone had drastically lowered the volume, and for the first time in his life, Eckhart experienced what it was like to live without resisting his own thoughts and emotions, without fighting them, without identifying with them, simply observing them pass, like clouds in the sky of consciousness. This experience changed his life forever, and it can change yours too. Because Eckhart's discovery reveals a fundamental truth about the nature of emotional pain. The pain you're trying to heal is not you. You are the one who observes it. Let that sink in for a moment. You are not your painful thoughts. You are the consciousness that perceives the thoughts. You are not your destructive emotions. You are the space where emotions appear and disappear. You are not your history of suffering. You are the timeless presence that witnesses the story. It's like watching a horror movie in the cinema. The movie can be scary, intense, disturbing, but you are not the movie. You are the one watching. And when you remember that, when you really remember, the movie loses its power to control you. Your painful thoughts and emotions are like that movie. They can be intense, but you are not them. The difference is subtle, but it transforms everything. When you try to stop emotional pain, you're fighting against your own human nature. It's like trying to stop your heart from beating, like trying to stop your eyes from seeing. The human psyche was made to feel, to process, to experience the full range of emotions. Pain, sadness, anger, fear, these aren't system defects, they're system features. You don't fight against your heart to make it stop beating. You simply let it do its job while you live your life. Emotional pain works the same way, but when you simply observe the pain, without judging it, without trying to control it, without identifying with it, something magical happens. It begins to lose its power on its own, like waves on a lake. If you try to stop the waves with your hands, and you'll create more waves, you'll agitate the water even more. But if you simply observe, they calm down naturally. They return to the state of stillness that is their original nature. Emotional pain has the same nature. It arises, reaches a peak, and naturally declines. Unless you interfere, unless you resist, fight, try to control it, then it gets stuck. Like energy that can't complete its natural cycle. Have you ever noticed that when you're watching a really engaging movie, you completely forget about your problems? For 2 hours, your emotional pain simply disappears. Not because you suppressed it. There's a pain you've carried for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to live without it. A pain that jolts you awake at 3 a.m., that surfaces in the middle of laughter. That turns your favorite song into a jagged blade, a pain you know better than anyone. Eckhart Tolle discovered something about this pain that no one has ever told you. It's not real, or rather, it is real, but it's not yours. And when you understand that difference, everything changes. It's like this: your usual thoughts of suffering just stopped showing up, not because you repressed them, but because they ran out of fuel. Because thoughts and emotions need attention to stay alive. Like a campfire needs wood to keep burning. Take away the wood, and the fire dies down naturally. That's the first secret Eckhart uncovered. Emotional pain feeds on attention, specifically resistant attention. It's not about suppressing the pain, it's about changing your relationship with it. It's like changing the channel on a TV. You don't break the TV. You don't fight against the shows you don't want to watch. You simply shift your focus, and there's a specific channel, always available, always broadcasting, that produces a natural peace when you tune into it. The channel of the present moment. But here's what nobody tells you about this channel. Your emotional pain has a natural resistance to it. It's programmed to keep you in the past or the future, because that's how it survives. Think about it. What is your emotional pain about? Something that happened or something that might happen, someone who hurt you, or someone who could hurt you, a past loss, or a future fear. Emotional pain is never about what's happening now. It's always about what happened or what might happen. And when you truly understand this and you discover something revolutionary, right now, this very moment, as you're listening to these words, where is your pain? If you stop thinking about the past, if you stop projecting into the future and just stay here, the pain disappears, like smoke when you stop feeding the fire. It literally can't exist in pure presence, because pure presence has no story, no meaning, no drama. It simply is, and what is rarely painful. What's painful is the story we tell ourselves about what is. That's the revolutionary technique Eckhart discovered. Not fighting the pain, not trying to understand it, not trying to cure it, simply stopping feeding it. And how do you feed emotional pain? With time, with the past, with the future, with story, with meaning, with resistance. Remove those elements, and the pain has nowhere to hold on. like a vampire in sunlight. But here's the most challenging part. Your pain body will violently resist this technique. It will create compelling thoughts. It will make you believe you need to suffer to be authentic. It will convince you that if you don't suffer, you're betraying whoever hurt you, or that if you don't suffer, you'll become a cold, unfeeling, inhuman person, or that your pain is justified and that you have the right to carry it, or that your pain makes you special, gives you depth, connects you with others who have suffered. These are all clever lies. The pain body lies to survive, like a parasite that convinces the host it's vital for its health, like a virus disguised as a healthy cell. Have you ever noticed how some people seem addicted to drama? How they always find something to suffer about, as if peace were a strange and uncomfortable state for them, as if they felt guilty when they're doing well. It's not a character flaw. It's the pain body manifesting. It's become accustomed to being fed regularly, and when you stop feeding it, it panics, like a drug addict in withdrawal. It will create emotional crises out of nowhere. It will intensify the symptoms. It will make you believe you're getting worse. It will bring back painful memories you thought were forgotten. It will create catastrophic future scenarios. It will make you feel that if you don't suffer, something terrible will happen. But in reality, it's starving. And that's a good thing. Eckhart teaches a specific technique for these moments of resistance. When emotional pain arises, when it tries to drag you into the past or the future, when it creates a storm of thoughts and emotions, do just one thing. Feel where it is in your body. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Don't justify it. Don't create a story about it. Just feel. Is it in your chest, your throat, your stomach, your back, your head? Is it pressure, a tightness, a burning, an emptiness, a sharp pain? And then breathe into it, as if you were breathing directly into the location of the pain, not to take it away, not to cure it, simply to accompany it and allow it to exist, without resisting, without escaping, without trying to change it. What happens when you do this? First, it may seem like the pain is intensifying. That's normal. It's like squeezing an abscess. It hurts more in the moment, but that's how the infection comes out. Second, you'll realize there are two pains, the original pain and the pain of your resistance to the pain that comes from the situation and the pain that comes from your struggle against the situation. When you stop resisting, the second pain disappears immediately, and the first pain, the original pain, can be felt purely, without additional drama. And when you feel pure pain, without story, without meaning, without resistance, something extraordinary happens. It transforms from suffering into experience, from problem into sensation, from enemy into teacher, like a wave in the ocean. If you dive into it instead of fighting against it, it passes through you without hurting you. It might be intense for a few moments, but then peace, a deep peace you haven't felt in years. Because you're no longer carrying the weight of resistance. You're no longer a sponge holding on to dirty water. You are the ocean, where waves appear and disappear naturally. But there's something even deeper that happens when you apply this technique consistently. You begin to realize that most of your emotional pain doesn't come from external events. It comes from your resistance to the events. It comes from the story you tell about the events. It comes from the meaning you give to the events. The event itself is already in the past. What remains is your present relationship with the memory of the event. And that relationship you can change now. Not by changing the past, that's impossible, but by changing your present response to the past. Imagine someone hurt you deeply 5 years ago. Betrayal, abandonment, rejection, any form of emotional wound. That person may have even forgotten what they did. They may be living happily without thinking about you, but you are to still carry the pain as if it happened yesterday. Why? Because every time you remember, you relive it. Every time you tell the story, you reactivate the wound. Every time you think, how could they do this to me? You pour fresh life into the pain. You're keeping the pain alive through repetitive attention, like keeping a plant alive by watering it every day. Stop watering, and it wilts. But here's the part that might scare you. Part of you doesn't want the pain to die because it's become your identity. I am the person who was betrayed. I am the person who lost someone important. I am the person who wasn't loved by their parents. I am the person who was bullied. I am the person who can't trust anyone. Your pain has become your emotional business card, and if you let go of the pain, who will you be? That's the question your pain body doesn't want you to ask, because the answer is liberating and terrifying at the same time. You will be you, not the wounded you, not the traumatized you, not the incomplete you, the essential you, the you that existed before the pain, the you that exists beyond the pain, like the sky that exists beyond the clouds. Clouds come and go. Storms appear and disappear. Hurricanes can be devastating, but the sky remains untouched, always blue, always vast, always free. You are that sky. Eckhart calls this inner space. And when you learn to identify with the space, instead of with the content of the space, you discover a freedom that doesn't depend on anything external, a peace that cannot be disturbed by circumstances, a love that doesn't need a specific object, a joy that doesn't need a reason. But how do you access this space in practice? Especially when the pain is intense, when it's screaming in your ear, when it's dominating all your attention. Eckhart teaches something that goes against all instincts of self-preservation. Instead of trying to get out of the pain, go deeper into it, but not mentally, physically. When emotional pain arises, when it tries to hijack your attention to the past or future, do the opposite of what you've always done. Instead of running away, go towards it. Instead of resisting, surrender. Instead of fighting, give in. How? First, locate the pain in your body. Every emotion has a physical counterpart. Sadness usually manifests as a weight in the chest or emptiness in the stomach. Anger as tension in the shoulders or heat in the head. Fear as a tightness in the throat or tingling in the hands. Anxiety as butterflies in the stomach or pressure in the chest. Feel it physically. Don't think about it. Feel it. Second, breathe directly into the location of the sensation, as if you were sending your breath, your life, your presence, to that part of your body that is contracted. Third, and most importantly, make space for it, like opening your arms to receive a crying child. You don't open your arms to stop the crying. You open them to offer a safe space where the crying can exist. And as you do this, something miraculous happens. The pain feels like it no longer needs to fight to be seen. It relaxes, it calms down, it begins to transform. Like a child who stops throwing a tantrum when they realize they're being truly heard. But there's something even deeper that happens. When you offer unconditional space to your pain, when you stop trying to change it or understand it, you discover that beneath the pain, there has always been love. Beneath the anger, there has always been vulnerability. Beneath the fear, there has always been life wanting to protect itself. Beneath the sadness there has always been a heart that cares. Every negative emotion is a positive emotion in disguise. It's love trying to express itself through a distorted form. And when you offer loving space but the distortion unravels, the emotion returns to its original form. Anger transforms into strength. Fear transforms into wisdom. Sadness transforms into compassion. Anxiety transforms into creative energy. But this only happens when you stop seeing emotions as problems and start seeing them as energy. Energy that can be transformed, but never destroyed. Like a hydroelectric plant that uses the force of water to generate light. The water isn't the problem, the water is the fuel. Your negative emotions work the same way. They're not the problem, they're the fuel. Fuel for transformation, for growth, for compassion. But only when you stop fighting against them. Eckhart went through this himself. The deepest depression of his life, transformed into the most transformative experience. The darkest night became the brightest dawn, not because he romanticized suffering, but because he stopped resisting it. And in that surrender, he found something he didn't know existed, a peace that doesn't depend on being well, a joy that doesn't depend on being happy, a love that doesn't depend on being loved, a completeness that doesn't depend on having everything. This exists in you too, not as something you need to achieve, but as something you need to discover, like a treasure buried in your backyard. It's always been there, you just didn't know where to dig. Now you know. This is the paradox of Eckhart's technique. To disconnect from pain, you need to connect with it completely. To be free of it, you need to stop fighting against it. To heal it, you need to stop trying to heal it. To transform it, you need to accept it as it is. like a thorn in your foot. If you try to pull it out forcefully, in a hurry, angrily, you might break it and make it worse. It might get infected. It might create an even bigger wound. But if you relax the muscles around it, if you stop contracting in response to the pain, if you breathe, if you calm down, if you approach with gentleness, it might come out naturally, or it might integrate in a way that doesn't hurt anymore. Your emotional pain works exactly the same way. When you stop contracting around it, when you offer space instead of resistance, it transforms. From resistance to acceptance, from struggle to flow, from problem to possibility, from enemy to ally. And in that transformation, you discover something surprising. The pain wasn't your enemy. It was your ally in disguise, trying to teach you something you couldn't learn any other way, trying to take you to a place within yourself that you didn't know existed, a place where there is no victim or villain, where there is no right or wrong, where there is no past or future, where there is only what is, and your infinite capacity to embrace what is. That place is who you really are, beyond the pain, beyond the story, beyond the identity built around suffering. You are the space where all this happens, like a theater where different plays are performed. The plays can be tragic or comedic, intense or gentle, long or short, but the theater remains untouched, always ready for the next performance. And when you recognize yourself as that theater, as that space, the pain, it lingers. A shadow that's been with you so long, you've almost forgotten what it feels like to live without it. A pain that jolts you awake at 3 a.m. That sneaks into the middle of laughter. That twists even the sweetest music into a jagged blade. A pain you know intimately, better than anyone else. Eckhart Tolle uncovered something profound about this pain, something no one has ever fully explained. It's not real, or rather it is real, but it's not yours. And when you grasp this distinction, everything shifts. The ache might still appear, but you're no longer consumed by it. Like clouds drifting across the sky. The sky doesn't resist the clouds. It doesn't fight them. It doesn't identify with them. It doesn't say, I am a dark cloud, or I am a storm. It simply allows them to be, to pass through, to move on, and the sky remains, vast, free, untended, ever-present. Now, there's a specific exercise I want you to try. Think of an emotional pain you carry. It could be recent or a wound from years ago, big or small, about relationships, work, family, health, and anything. Just bring it into your awareness. Feel where it resides in your body. It might be a tightness in your chest, a pressure in your throat, an emptiness in your stomach, tension in your shoulders, a headache, a tingling in your hands. Locate the physical sensation now. Instead of trying to understand it, analyze it, justify it, or force it away. Simply breathe into it. Imagine each breath carrying love, compassion, presence to this suffering part of you. Not to heal it, not to change it, just to accompany it. Like a mother sitting beside a child with a fever, she doesn't try to make the fever vanish instantly. She simply offers her presence, offers comfort, offers love. And in that loving presence, the child's body naturally begins to heal. Do this with your pain. Offer presence, offer space, offer love. Be the loving mother to the hurting part of yourself. And observe what unfolds. Don't expect immediate results. Don't demand dramatic shifts. Simply be present with what arises. Sometimes the pain will intensify first, before it softens. Like squeezing a sponge, more water comes out initially. Then it becomes lighter. Sometimes old memories will surface. Let them pass like clouds. Sometimes you'll feel the urge to stop, to revert to your usual resistance. Gently, return to the breath, return to the presence. Like training a puppy, with patience, with consistency, with love. And as you practice and as you cultivate this new relationship with pain, something extraordinary begins to happen. The pain starts to lose its power to control you. It might appear, but you no longer panic. It might intensify, but you don't despair. It might last for hours, but you don't identify with it. Like a storm you observe from a window, it might be intense, it might be noisy, it might even be frightening, but you're safe inside. You know it will pass, and eventually something even deeper happens. You discover that beneath all the pain, there has always been peace. Beneath all the fear, there has always been love. Beneath all the resistance, there has always been acceptance, not as something you achieved, but as something that has always been there, like the silence that exists between musical notes. The notes might be high or low, harmonious or dissonant, but the silence is always there, giving space for the music to exist. You are that silence. You are that space. You are that peace that cannot be disturbed, even when there's a storm on the surface, like the bottom of the ocean. On the surface there might be giant waves and storms, tsunamis, but 50 feet down, there is absolute calm. It always has been. It always will be. That calm is you, and when you learn to dive down to it, when you learn to recognize yourself as it, you discover you never needed to disconnect from the pain. You needed to connect with who you are beyond the pain, and in that connection, the pain naturally loses its relevance. Like shadows that vanish when you turn on the light. The light doesn't fight the shadows, it simply shines, and the shadows dissolve on their own. You are that light. You always have been. And now, you finally remember. Remember that thorn you've carried for so long. It was never really stuck in you. It was stuck in the image you had of yourself, in the story you told yourself, in the identity you built around suffering. And when that image dissolves, when that story is recognized as just a story, the thorn falls away, not because you fought it, not because you forcefully removed it, but because you realized it was never real. It was just a shadow cast by the light of your true nature. And when you turn toward the light, the shadows disappear. You are free. Not free from the possibility of feeling pain. That's part of the human experience. But free from the need to suffer with the pain. Free from identifying with the pain. Free from resisting the pain, and in that freedom you find something you didn't expect. Gratitude for the pain that brought you here, for the journey that taught you who you truly are, for the darkness that made you appreciate the light, because you realize that everything, absolutely everything, was conspiring to bring you back home, back to yourself, back to the peace you never lost, back to the love that never ended, back to the wholeness that has always been yours. And in that return your seeking ends, not because you achieved something new, but because you recognize something that has always been yours. Like a sponge that finally learns that its nature isn't to hold water, but to allow the water to flow through it. And in that flow, in that permission, in that surrender, you discover the difference between carrying life and being carried by it, between resisting the river and floating in the river, between fighting the waves and surfing the waves. And that is the difference that transforms suffering into wisdom, pain into compassion, wound into healing, end into beginning, and you, finally, into you.